All right. Good Sunday morning, everybody. It is time to get through these weekly picks. And, kind of a funny week this week. We had a game that's on right now, one that I put my pick out on Twitter for to make sure that I had it out. And so far, it's going as planned. I was expecting to see Bigsby have a decent day and put it on the Chicago Bears. And so far, that's happening. Caleb Williams is not having a good morning so far in London or whatever time it is over there. So welcome in. It is week 6. I had a terrible week 5, so I've got to bounce back, which means I have to differentiate a little bit from what some of these other pick masters are doing this week. I might only be able to gain 2 spots at most if I can hit on the majority of my picks, but week 5 was tough, very, very tough. And like I said, we got to bounce back this week. Got to have a good bounce back. Right now, looks like the game is on commercial, so let me bury that window. How's everybody doing this morning? What's everybody up to today? Let me know in the chat what your plans are for this Sunday full of football, and who are your picks of the day? Like, who are your favorites to win in what should be a pretty exciting day of football? Give me just a second here. I'll get my picks up. Who do we have in here today? We got Trace in the house, Casey, Roger Alowski, and of course, Casey, all over the place to say this morning. Good morning, Trace and Case and Bo Booth. Audio issues stuttery a bit. Don't know what that would be from. Not real sure. Looks like everything's good over here. Okay, so let's get, for that. I've never seen that. I've never seen where the team just kind of hung out in London. I doubt that they flew back. I have no idea if they did, but I would doubt that they flew back. You might as well stay out there. But here's the one thing I do know about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he has been out in London at least 5 or 6 times now. And when you're bringing a rookie quarterback out there in Caleb Williams, who is not used to, playing overseas, I think it's a little bit more difficult for a rookie to balance that. So I think that gives, Jacksonville a little bit of an edge there, that they have, familiarity and experience in London. Now, it has nothing to do with the players, has nothing to do with injuries. It's just an experience factor, just like playoffs or Super Bowl. If you have experience, you kind of know what's going on. The fact that they're out there already and they're playing 2 games back to back, I mean, that just adds to the experience factor. The Bears are down on some defensive backs in this game. That's where I expected Trevor Lawrence to kind of have a good game against Chicago today. I do see Trevor Lawrence being comfortable in London, like I was just saying. This is at least his 6th game overseas, and I am hopeful that Tank Bigsby will keep the run game alive for the Jags today, which it already appears he's doing. The Jags defense has really struggled, but maybe with a rookie quarterback in a foreign land, maybe they can find some success today against the Bears. Now, the fantasy X factor for today is Bears wide receiver DJ Moore. And Caleb Williams had his best game of the season last week. Moore benefited with 8 targets and a season high 27.5 fantasy points. Jacksonville's defense gives up the most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. So DJ Moore could be in for another big day, but what I saw from the first series, Caleb couldn't get anything going. Now, I've kind of missed the third series here for Chicago, so I don't really know what's happening right now. Clearly, I took Jacksonville in this game. I wasn't too impressed with Chicago, heading over to London. I took Jacksonville in this game. I know it's not a very popular pick, but I do have to differentiate a little bit. Matt Bowen took Chicago. Fowler took Jacksonville. So I took Jacksonville 24-17. And I also took the under on this game. But where are we at so far in this game? Anybody got a score update? Casey says, coffee, yard work, and a crock pot full of chili today. Hey, that sounds good. I haven't made chili in a long time. Maybe I'll make some, but I kind of struggle with all the red sauces these days. I'm trying to stay away from it. So next up, we'll talk about Tampa Bay and the Saints. This is an odd game. This is an odd duck for me. Kind of a tough one to figure out because you've got so many different injuries on both sides. And you have a couple of teams that can be very explosive. They absolutely can be explosive. The problem is the Saints are missing their quarterback, and the Bucs, I mean, they're kind of riddled with injuries all over the place. You just don't know what team's going to show up. So the Saints started really hot this season, but now injuries really have this team in trouble. Kind of the same for the Bucs. They have a ton of injuries on defense, and this game is going to be won with the team that does not turn the ball over today. So the least amount of mistakes in this game, and you could say that about any game, but I think it's really going to hold true to this game, where whoever makes the fewest mistakes is going to win this game. With Baker playing at such a high level so far through this season, and that Buccaneers defense, man, that is a stingy defense. The Lions saw it, and it was a very tough defense to crack. But they've already been dealing with injuries, so they kind of know how to play through these situations. And I expect the Bucs to get it done today. The X factor, though, the fantasy X factor for today is the Saints running back Alvin Kamara. With Spencer Rattler set to make his NFL debut, this is where I'm expecting the Tampa Bay Bucs to have a little bit more success on defense, is getting after Spencer. Now, the Saints would be smart to lean heavily on Kamara here, who's dangerous in the running game. He's been crazy good this season, both through the tackles and catching passes. Now, the Buccaneers defense gives up the 6th most receptions and the 3rd most receiving yards to running backs. So if you have Alvin Kamara, this is obviously a good play today. I don't think there's any week we should ever have him out anyway. But Kamara should be a key part of the New Orleans game plan today. I just don't expect the Saints to get it done. Right now, I see Tampa Bay winning this one. Kind of a lower scoring game. They break 20, though. 23-13 is what I see. I'm going with the under. The under is 42.5. And Tampa Bay gets it done. As far as everybody else picking right now, I mean, I'm seeing 90% of the picks going towards the Bucs. So I really can't differentiate a whole lot on this one. I just don't see the Saints having enough today. Now, if they had Carr back there as their quarterback, I might lean a different direction. Even though I'm not real high on Carr, he's had a pretty decent season so far. The next game that I want to talk about is Washington and Baltimore. This could be an extremely exciting game today. It's one that I definitely want to watch if I can. Super impressed with Jaden Daniels. I mean, you guys know that if you watch this channel, you know that I selected Jaden Daniels to be the number 1 overall rookie quarterback in this draft this season. And so far, he has not disappointed. I mean, he's playing at such an incredible level for a rookie, and we don't see that very often. You know, like C.J. Stroud last year was the first rookie quarterback in probably 5 seasons to really do something as a rookie. And if Jaden Daniels continues what he's doing right now, he might have a better season than C.J. Stroud did last year. I just don't know if it's going to be enough with what he's going to be dealing with today against Baltimore. Now, the storyline in this one is Washington's run defense. They rank 31st in yards per carry allowed with 5.1. And it just so happens that you're going up against King Henry and Lamar Jackson, 2 of the best to do it at their respective positions in the running game. Yeah, Brad Allen's in the game today. This is the last one before I think he's onto the Jets for like 5 or 6 weeks in a row. So expect Karen Rodgers to get some wins, right? So what I'm going with here is Baltimore's probably going to be able to run the ball pretty effectively today. And with the Commanders, I mean, they're coming off their best showing last week. I mean, it was their best week of the season so far. Only allowed 104 yards, or allowing only 104 yards versus the Browns. That was their best defensive performance of the season so far, which isn't saying much, right? But Cleveland really, I mean, they're far from what the Ravens can do. And I feel like that is going to be the bigger X factor of the day for Baltimore is if Henry and Lamar are able to mix it up, you know, between a called quarterback run and Henry just getting some touches today, that could be enough to keep the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands to be able to come back in this game or to give them an opportunity or enough opportunities to put up points. I do see where Washington is going to have to throw the ball a lot, and that is going to make them more one-dimensional, which means that Baltimore might be able to pin their ears back just a little bit today and try to get after the rookie. Now, Harbaugh for Baltimore, he has had rookie quarterbacks numbers. I mean, every season, they don't win versus Baltimore. So with Washington last in yards allowed for run defense, this is a game that matches up well for Lamar and Henry. I think that those are going to be the biggest plays here, and I do expect Daniels to have some success through the air, but it just may not be enough today. Now, the true fantasy X factor for Washington is wide receiver Terry McLaurin. McLaurin and Daniels have finally found their rhythm, and McLaurin has scored 13 or more fantasy points in 3 straight games, with 2 of those passing 18 points. He has racked up 24 targets during that span. This week, McLaurin faces a Ravens defense that allows the 8th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. That's where I believe that it helps Jaden Daniels today, is that he's going up against a defense that already allows a lot of yards. As long as they get the opportunities, there's potential there. So you would think that right now I'm leaning towards Baltimore, but yep, I'm going to play that Uno reverse card here, and I've got to differentiate. And even though I see nobody really picking the Commanders, I'm picking the Commanders today. 28-25 in a close game. I feel like they're going to break the over. The over is 51.5. Call me crazy. Like I said, I've been called worse, but I think that Washington has a chance as long as they get enough chances. So if they can somehow limit, that's going to be the question of the day, somehow limit what Lamar Jackson and King Henry do on the ground, I think that is the only way that they're going to get enough opportunities through the air offensively. So that's going to be a great game to watch. Next up, we'll talk about Green Bay and Arizona. Let me pull up some notes here. I'll try to paint a picture here with some more injuries, too. I forgot about injuries. Let me get some of this stuff open. Almost need another screen already. 3 is not enough. Actually, 4. I'd rather just have all of this stuff open so I don't have to find it. Oh, goodness. Here we go. Okay, so Arizona and Green Bay. Look, this is a game that we need Arizona to stand up. If you're a Lions fan, which I know this segment's not really about the Lions or anything, but man, do we need the Green Bay Packers to lose a game. We really do. And this is a game that it could go both ways. And it could go both ways very quickly. This could be a day where Kyler Murray just does his thing and gets loose against Green Bay. It's going to be a tough defense that he's going up against, but Kyler Murray has been the best running quarterback in the league so far through 5 weeks. And he's also completing the 2nd most passes under pressure. So given those 2 items, even though that Green Bay can get some pressure against quarterbacks, you're going up against one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the league today. And I do like those odds for Kyler Murray. What I don't like is sometimes he's a little bit too frantic. And we saw that in the Lions game where he was just a little bit too frantic, wasn't putting passes on center, and that didn't help, his receivers. But you also have a pretty dynamic wide receiver here in Marvin Harrison Jr., who's been playing pretty damn good ball. So, on the flip side, Love is barely back, right? He's already thrown 5 interceptions, in his limited amount of time this season so far. And I think all of those things are going to help Arizona. I do believe that, with Jordan Love throwing this many interceptions, which is tied for 4th in the league, he's only played in 3 games. He kind of started this way last season as well with 10 interceptions in the first 9 games of the season. But this could be a team that takes advantage of it. As long as Arizona can get their hands on 1 interception today and win this turnover margin, I do believe that they're going to kind of go back and forth quite a bit this game. Dontavian Wicks, a lot of people expected him to have a really good season. He's been absolute crap so far. I don't expect him to do anything differently in this game. The X factor really is Josh Jacobs in this game. The Cardinals secondary has been surprisingly strong, and that's where I feel that they're going to give Jordan Love a little bit of a fit today. We'll see where it goes. But Josh Jacobs, this is a great opportunity for him to get some yards. He's coming off of his best performance of the season last week, 16.4 fantasy points against the Rams. And the Cardinals defense allows the 8th most fantasy points per game to running backs. And Josh Jacobs has averaged 19.6 touches per game. I don't see that changing today. I think that Green Bay is going to want to establish the run and force Arizona to bite, and then that allows Jordan Love to either open up play action or start pushing the ball downfield. But I'm hoping that Arizona is going to stand tall here and not make it easy on Jordan Love. So I'm expecting a lot of pressure and for Arizona to dial up this defense. As far as injuries in this game, it's not terrible for Arizona. I really don't see, anything other than their offensive line, which has been, kind of beat up all season. You've got 2 guards and 2 tackles that, were both kind of limited throughout the week, but 3 out of the 4 were full participants by Friday. So their offensive line should be okay. Matt Prater should be, doing fine. He should be able to hit some field goals today. Darius Robinson, the defensive tackle, he's out. And Zay Jones, their other wide receiver, he's out. So those are the 2 biggest injuries for Arizona today. On Green Bay's side of the ball, they are just riddled with injuries everywhere. Jair Alexander was questionable. Kenny Clark was limited on Friday. Edgerrin Cooper and Zane Anderson were both full participants. And Tucker Kraft was also limited. And we know that Jordan Love loves to depend on his tight ends when needed. But Jordan Morgan, their tackle, was also limited with a shoulder. Aaron Mosby, their defensive end, was also back to being a full participant. Luke Musgrave, another tight end, was hampered on Friday, did not practice on Friday. Christian Watson, wide receiver, was also limited. And Devonta Wyatt, their defensive tackle, is out. So it's not crazy bad for Green Bay. They just have a lot of ticky-tacky injuries going on. These guys are banged up. You would think that I would go with Green Bay here at home. But again, I'm betting on Arizona today. I'm hoping that they can get it done 27-21 over Green Bay. I'm taking the over, which is 47. Let's see here. Mike P. Brad Allen is our ref? No. Brad Allen's not our ref, Mike P. Brad Allen is, he's like the next 5 or 6 games, he's going to be with the Jets. He's in London today. He's doing the Chicago game. So next up, let's talk about Tennessee in Indianapolis. This game's not extremely exciting for me. This is a matchup featuring one of the most stingiest defenses and the most porous defense in the NFL right now, according to at least yards per game. Now, the Titans have allowed a league low 243.8 yards per game behind a revamped unit that they really went hard this offseason trying to fix. The Colts, on the other hand, they are giving up 419.2 yards, and they're coming off of a loss in which they gave up a season-high 37 points to the Jaguars. Indianapolis is hoping to make some strides this week, but they're bringing back defensive end Kwity Paye and cornerback Kenny Moore, but their former Pro Bowl defensive tackle DeForest Buckner still remains out, non-injured reserve. So this is a game where I see Tennessee Titans, having a good opportunity. There's not much here for me other than the Colts just give up way too many yards. They're a bit banged up as well. Let me see if I can grab their injury report real quick. Injuries for the Colts. Josh Downs was questionable. Anthony Richardson, questionable. Michael Pittman, questionable. So you've got their top 3 wide receivers and quarterback all questionable. Clearly they're going to play, but how much of that is going to hamper their day today? As of October 11th, Jonathan Taylor, their running back, is out, and that's big. That's big that they're not going to have a big running game today, or at least what could have been a big running game. Juju Brents is on injured reserve now as of October 7th, and their guard, Will Fries, is also on injured reserve. So not looking good for the Colts as far as an injury front. I do expect them to be, a little sluggish today because of that. The Titans, on the other hand, Jamal Adams, this is a big one. Their safety is out. Linebacker Cedric Gray is also out. And Keandre Coburn is also out. Now, there really hasn't been a ton of injuries to the Titans since the end of September, but they lost Chibodi Awuzie, and they lost TK McClendon and Chance Campbell, all out on injured reserve. But I think that they'll be able to play just fine without, Jamal Adams today, even though that is a huge loss. I am taking Tennessee to win this game 22-16, and I'm going with the under. DraftKings had them at 43. Well, let me know in the chat or in the comments, who are you guys taking in these games? So far, I took Seattle in the Thursday night game. Obviously, San Fran won that game. I'm taking Jacksonville. I'm taking Tampa Bay, Washington, Arizona, and Tennessee. And next up, we're going to talk about New England and Houston. So for New England and Houston, this is a storyline here that's been developing for a long time with this matchup. It's kind of funny that the Texans have not won in New England ever. And let me find that little stat. So the Texans are 0-7 all time on the road versus the Patriots, including the playoffs, which is their second most losses without a road win against a single opponent. They are also 0-8 against the Ravens. So those are some stats to know for the day. I found that really interesting. But you know what? That stat is meant to be broken, and it's going to get broken today. This will be the second time the Texans face a rookie quarterback this season. Houston beat the Bears and quarterback Caleb Williams in week 2. He finished 23 of 37 passing for 174 yards with 2 interceptions and was sacked 7 times. Coach DeMeco Ryans said that we'll play our defense. It won't change in regard to game planning for Drake May, who got the nod this week. I'm expecting Houston to do the same here in this game to Drake May. I expect them to get, after him right away. May was the number 3 pick this season in the draft. He is set to make his first career start. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud complimented May this week, citing his versatility and his accuracy. The Patriots have a 7-0 all-time record against the Texans. Like I just said, that stat's going to break today. Texans are going to roll into New England, and they're going to come out with a big win. Fantasy X Factor today will be Tank Dell. Tank Dell should see a lot more action with Nico Collins on injured reserve. Dell has had a slow start to the season with only one game of 10 or more fantasy points so far in the season. Last season, though, he posted 4 games of 20 or more fantasy points before a broken fibula cut his season short. This should be a busy day for Tank Dell, given what the Texans are going to have to do to get this game in the winning side. Houston is rolling in as a 6.5 point favorite right now. The over-under on this game is 37.5. I'm going with the over, and I have Houston winning this game, running away 29-18. What was that, David? That's what does that mean? The past 2 officiating crews got cut by the NFL for this game against the Cowboys. I'm not following you, buddy. I don't know what that means. I'm just glad that we don't have Brad Allen. And I'm honestly surprised that he's still in action after that whole debacle. But, the NFL tried to blame the Lions for that whole thing. I guess it doesn't pay to be smart anymore. All right, Philly and Cleveland. Let's get to Philly and Cleveland here. This game's not real exciting again to me. I mean, the Browns are just terrible this season. And, they're supposed to have a really good defense that was supposed to bail out Deshaun Watson. But I think Deshaun Watson is just at the end of his run, unfortunately. I feel like, I got you, David. I feel like, Deshaun's done. It's just a matter of time before, they're finally going to pull the plug on, on his contract. I mean, there's been talks of him involved in, some other things that are going to pop up soon, which I guess I'm not surprised at. It seems like they always try to find a way to make it work in the NFL's favor. But the storyline to watch here is the Browns are off to a historically pat start on offense. They have scored under 20 points in all 5 games this season, their longest streak to start since 1999. Despite all of their opponents ranking in the bottom half of the NFL in EPA per play, with no sweeping changes expected. Now, Cleveland is sticking with Deshaun Watson in this game. Kevin Stefanski is keeping play calling duties for right now. Can the Browns find an identity against the Eagles defense that also ranks 26th in EPA per play? I don't know. I think that the Eagles are going to have too much of offense for the Browns this weekend. So Eagles storyline to watch. A.J. Brown is expected to finally be back for his first game. I do not expect A.J. Brown to have a good game today. I've said it time and time again. When these guys come back off a major injury, it usually takes them at least a game and a half to maybe 3 games before they are kind of back to their old self, or as much as they can be back to their old self. Doesn't mean that you don't have to watch out for him. And he is on my fantasy team, and I have a feeling that I didn't put him in. I hope I didn't put him in. I'm not playing AJ today. If he's in, I'm taking him out. And that's just how I roll. I don't see him having a big game. I could be sticking my foot in my mouth later. We'll find out. The Eagles scored 34 points in their home opener against the Packers. In 3 games without Brown, they have averaged 17 points. And now they're getting right tackle Lane Johnson and wide receiver Devonta Smith back this week from concussions. So that does help them quite a bit offensively. The Eagles have just not been, the same this season, which I'm fine with. Big stat to know, Watson has a 21 total QBR this season. A 20. I could probably put up a 21. And I'm broken. That's just crazy bad. Yeah, definitely, Mike P. Philly's going to win this game. Jalen Hurts is going to throw for 3 or more touchdowns, says Walder. I'd be on the over of 2. I still think that the Browns have a decent defense. I'm going to go with the over on 2 touchdowns today. I'm not going to say 3 or more. The X factor of the day, though, is the Browns wide receiver, Amari Cooper. Cooper has seen plenty of targets, but the fantasy points have not followed. He has had 8 or more targets in every game. He's only managed 10 or more fantasy points in 2 games. This has made Cooper a bottom or a boom or a bust kind of option. The good news is he faces an Eagles defense that has allowed the 4th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. You still have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. In this game, everyone's picking the Eagles, and they're picking, by more than 10. The over-under on this game is 42.5 right now, with the Eagles a 10-point favorite. So I'm sticking with more of the same here, with the over-under at 42.5. I'm going to comfortably put Philly over 30 points here. I'm going to go 31 to the Browns. 15. I think they're going to win by 16 points. So I'm taking Philly, and I'm taking the over. Next up, we'll talk about Denver and the LA Chargers here. So Chargers storyline this week is the Chargers have lost 7 of their past 10 matchups against the Broncos. Let me say that again. The Chargers have lost 7 of their past 10 matchups against the Broncos and haven't won in Denver since 2018. I'm sticking with the theme today that, those types of records are meant to be broken. This is a pretty good matchup today. You've got a 2-2 Chargers team coming off a bye and a Broncos team that's 3-2. I feel like Harbaugh is a much different, opportunity against the Broncos. He provides a much different opportunity with the style of game, that he likes to run. The big stat to know is the Broncos have the most pressures in the NFL since week 3. So they're going to try to get after it, all game long. And, you know, Herbert's been hampered by that ankle injury. Let me get to injuries here, matter of fact. Speaking of injuries, the Chargers have had quite a few, but a lot of them are back. So Joe Alt looks like he's full participant. Joey Bosa is back, even though he was limited. Junior Colson was a full participant. Gus Edwards, which is finally, you know, would have been nice to see him back. He's still out. Who was the other big one? Justin Herbert, he's a full participant. Hayden Hurst is a full participant this week. Derwin James, their safety, is a full participant. Khalil Mack is back as a full participant. Not that he was gone. Asante Samuel is out, so they are going to be out with one of their better cornerbacks. Rashawn Slater is questionable, and the other corner, Jasier Taylor, is out. And on the other side of the ball for the Broncos, they are very healthy. They only have 3 players out. Josh Reynolds is out. Luke Wattenberg, their center, is out. And their tackle, Alex Polzuski, he is also out. Everybody else is good to go. Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, Damari Mathis, Audric Estime, they're all good to go. So the Broncos are a really healthy team. And like I said, they have the most pressures of all teams since week 3. So expect them to get after Herbert, testing that ankle. I mean, they say the ankle's fine, but it's been an issue for him. The Broncos are tied for 22nd in scoring right now, 19.2 points per game, 28th in yards per play, and 31st on third down. They're only completing 24.6% of third downs to advance to a first down. Their red zone efficiency is 43.8%, which is in the bottom 26th of the league right now. Bold prediction for the day is Broncos cornerback Riley Moss will record an interception, according to Walder. Not so sure about that. The biggest X factor of the day is going to be the running back J.K. Dobbins, who has had kind of a slumber the last couple of weeks. Look for him to have a bounce back in this game. This is a great chance for Dobbins to get back on track. The Broncos secondary has been tough, holding DK Metcalf and George Pickens, Mike Evans, and Garrett Wilson to under 50 receiving yards this season, but they are much easier to run on than to pass against. So this could be a ground and pound kind of a day, which could limit the scoring on both sides of the ball. We know that the Chargers love to run the ball, and I think that that's what they're going to be doing today. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chargers today. I think that they're finally going to break that where is it? I wanted to read it again. They've lost 7 of their last 10 matchups against the Broncos since 2018. And there was another stat with that. Something about like 10 seasons or whatever. But anyway, I expect the Chargers to get it done. Over-under is 35.5. Again, I think that they're expecting more of a ground and pound kind of day today. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the Chargers 23 points to Denver's 15, which is going to go ahead and put me at the over. I'm taking the Chargers. Broncos win by double figures, huh, Mike P? All right. I'm going to hold you to that. Next up, we've got Las Vegas Raiders and Pittsburgh. Now, in this game, the storyline to watch here is Mike Tomlin left the door ajar for quarterback Russell Wilson to be active against the Raiders today. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to start in front of Justin Fields. We'll see what happens here. If Justin's having a bad day, I mean, right now I'm expecting that Justin Fields is the starter. But if he's having a bad day, you might see Russell Wilson enter this game. Justin did have an aggravated calf injury, or he re-aggravated it, an injury from early in September. So that could be, another opportunity for Russell Wilson to get in this game. If Justin, injures it again during the game, you might see Wilson. I don't think that helps. I don't think that helps the Steelers. I think Russell Wilson's a terrible quarterback. So either way, I still think that the Raiders are probably going to have a little bit more success in this game. Storyline to watch for the Raiders. They're just looking for something to happen. Like, they need a spark, right? They've got these issues with Adams wanting to be traded. And then a week later, it's, oh, nope, he's going to be staying. So you have a big upset inside the locker room right now. And that usually doesn't help teams to, want to go out and play. They probably just don't feel any energy right now. It's just, it doesn't help their psyche. So they definitely need a spark. Now, quarterback Aiden O'Connell is going to find himself coming off the bench to be the starter this week. So last season, O'Connell took place of Jimmy Garoppolo throughout the season. O'Connell is replacing Gardner Minshew, who won a tight training camp battle for the opportunity to be the starter this season. But with O'Connell having the bigger arm, but being substantially less mobile than Minshew, and the Steelers boasting a very fearsome pass rush, expect a lot of max protection and quick passing calls in this game. So short dinkum and dunkum kind of game for the Raiders, but Aiden O'Connell is going to get the start. Makes me want to go with the Steelers. Stat to know, the Steelers have allowed an average of 23.5 points per game in their 2 straight losses, after allowing 8.7 points in 3 straight wins to start the season. The Fantasy X Factor today. Running back, Najee Harris. Harris is primed for a big workload against the Raiders. With Jalen Warren doubtful and Cordarrelle Patterson out, he has averaged only 10.2 fantasy points per game this season, but he has seen 16 or more touches in every game. Harris should find success against a Raiders defense that does give up the fifth most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. Now, when I look at the injuries in this game, the Chargers, like I said, I think that they're fine. Like, they're getting the large majority. I'm sorry, not the Chargers. The Raiders, they're looking fairly healthy as well. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, their tight end, Freiermuth, Najee Harris, all good to go. Nick Herbig, who we watched last night in the Dallas Cowboy Pittsburgh review, he's out. That's a big out. Alex Highsmith, he's out, which is another big, big loss for that defensive line. Damontae Kazee, he's got an ankle injury. He was their safety. And DeMarvin Leal, their defensive end, he is also out with a neck injury. I mean, he was a backup of a backup. And you're missing Cordarrelle Patterson. Michael Pruitt, their tight end, he's also out. So the Steelers are missing quite a few. TJ Watt did end up on the injury report, but he is fine. He's good to go. And of course, Russell Wilson is good to go. So it's looking like the Steelers are in trouble defensively. Devontae Adams, of course, is out. Max Crosby is good to go. He was limited on Friday, but he'll be fine. Who else was in here that was a big one? I don't think there really was any. So if the Raiders have an edge right now, it's going to be in the health of their team. I'm still going to go with the Raiders in this one. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers just have too much injury right now. Aiden O'Connell might be the spark that gets it going. He just might be the spark. I expect that they're going to try to get after him, but if they can get this ball off early, that could be a good opportunity for the Raiders to find a win today. Everybody's picking the Steelers. 20-17, 26-14, 19-26. I'm going to go with another crazy one today, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the Raiders. Now, the over-under on this game is 36.5. Yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Vegas wins a tight one, 21, Pittsburgh 18. And that does put me on the over. I don't know that Aiden O'Connell is going to be able to throw for a bunch of touchdowns. He might get one today. I expect them to get a little bit more opportunity on the ground with this banged up Pittsburgh defensive line. Next up is Carolina and Atlanta. Now, this shouldn't be a hard one to pick here. I think a lot of people are taking Atlanta in this game, which isn't surprising. The Carolina Panthers just have not been able to put anything together this season. I was really hopeful last week against Chicago, but that was just being hopeful. The storyline for the Falcons this week is Kirk Cousins. He has thrown a league-high 8 touchdowns when not under pressure in 2024 with 0 interceptions, but has a league-high 5 interceptions with no touchdowns when he is under pressure. The Panthers are 29th in the league in pass rush win rate. So the story is, can Cousins, coming off of a franchise-high 509-yard performance, continue to shake off the rust in Charlotte? That's a great point. Look, he's been lights out this season, but then he's also had no lights on at times. So this could be a big game for Kirk Cousins. It really could be, especially if they can hold back, the Carolina pressure, which it doesn't look like, they're really going to have to worry a whole lot about it. Let me take a look at some of the injuries here. On the Panthers side of the ball, Jadeveon Clowney was doubtful, and A'Shawn Robinson was questionable. And those were the 2 biggest defensive players on the injury report. The rest of it came on offense. So their center, Austin Corbett, is out with a biceps injury. And Josie Jewell, the other linebacker, is also out with a hamstring. Taylor Moton, their tackle, is out with an elbow. And Andrew Rayn, can't see his name. Rayrn, Rayrn, kind of a weird name, is out with a concussion. But other than that, they're fairly healthy. So it looks like they got a few issues on the defensive side of the ball. For the Falcons, though, everybody's in except for Troy Anderson, the linebacker. So the Falcons are very, 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 very healthy, as healthy as they're going to be at this point in the season, which gives the edge to Atlanta. Clearly, I'm taking Atlanta in this game. The fantasy X factor, though, is Panthers wide receiver Deontay Johnson. Johnson has had a great opportunity to bounce back after a very quiet week 5. He managed just 6 targets last week and 5.9 fantasy points. It's worth noting that he had 14 targets and put up 26.2 fantasy points in week 3. And then he followed that up with 13 targets and 21.3 fantasy points in week 4. The Falcons have given up the 8th most receptions per game to wide receivers this season. I would expect more of the same. I'm all in on Deontay Johnson. Of course, if you have him on your fantasy team, it would be a good week to play him. Now, here's another bold prediction through ESPN here by, again, Seth Walder. Bijan Robinson will be the highest scoring fantasy running back in week 6 with an impact in both the run and the pass game. I'm going thumbs down on that call. I clearly think that is going to be, it's probably going to be between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs this weekend. One of those 2 guys is going to have an incredible game. I'm expecting David Montgomery to play just a little bit out of his mind tonight after signing that contract extension. It's just tough in the split backfield to have the most fantasy points when you're splitting it, pretty much 50-50. But I'm betting on David Montgomery to have a big game tonight. But here's where I'm at. Falcons are going to win this game running away. I don't think it's going to be close. I think that the Panthers are just a bad team. I'd be surprised if they even put up 10 points in this game. So I'm going to go Atlanta 29, Carolina 9, and that does put me on the over. 29-9. Falcons win this game. Next up, you've got Detroit and Dallas. This is going to be the game of the day for all of us. We'll be right here doing the live play-by-play. And we should hit our next marker and be giving away a signed helmet. It'll be Penei Sewell tonight. We're going to give away Penei Sewell's helmet, signed, autographed, certificate of authenticity, courtesy of Pro Sports Zone. Let me get back to the matchup here. I want to see what ESPN has to say here. All right, according to ESPN, Let me put this in front of me so I'm not turning my head. A controversial ending to last year's matchup became a trending topic when Dallas beat Detroit after potential game-winning 2-point conversion by Lions offensive lineman Taylor Decker.
And with 23 seconds left in the game, this to go ahead. Everybody that had to make the play on this last possession did just that, starting with being able to handle Micah Parsons, but Goff had to get the ball out as well. Dan Skipper, an extra.
Let's recap this just a minute here.
Play action. End zone. There it is! Unbelievable! The 2-point try is good, and it's Taylor Decker.
That's all that I needed to hear because that 2-point conversion was good. And you know what? I think it'd be super exciting tonight if Skip or Dak, Sewell, somebody catches a pass today. Or somebody lines up in the backfield today. Something. I don't need to see him doing a bunch of, crazy stuff today, but just win the game. Don't get too cute today. But if we're up, I'm not saying that Dan Campbell would do this, but let's just rub it in. If we're up, just do something. Just do something. Make your legacy felt. But anyway, obviously that was a big topic last year. And it's still, a lot of Lions fans are still pissed off about it, and they should be. I expect the Lions to come in amped up, ready to go. But they're not going to let it cloud them. They're not going to let it just hang over them. They're not going to feel the anxiety from it. I feel like they're just going to be dialed in and ready to go. So with Aiden Hutchinson, having one of his better seasons to start, and now in his third season, I'm hopeful that he's going to play smart tonight and that he's going to play disciplined football and that DJ Reader is going to start opening up the center of that offensive line like a can of tuna. And that is going to allow Jack Campbell. It's going to allow Alex Anzalone or Rodrigo. Somebody is going to be able to get through that offensive line tonight to provide some extra pressure on Dak Prescott. I would be remiss if I said that we would need a spy. We don't really need a spy against Dak Prescott, but what we do need is we do need a bracketed zone coverage in this game that can keep somebody facing forward so that we always have eyes on what's going on, in that backfield with Dak Prescott and allowing, the pressure to work and not allow Dak Prescott to get outside. If he gets outside and makes plays with his legs, he can extend plays and then push the ball downfield. And that's exactly what I don't want to see. And that's what he does very well. So tonight, if we're going to bring the pain, or if we're going to bring the pressure, we better bring the pain and get him down. Quote here by Aiden Hutchinson. He says, it's last year, talking about last year's issue. We're on a mission this year, and we're not going to let that past define us. Quarterback Jared Goff also emphasized that the Dallas loss isn't in the back of their heads as they prepare to face the Cowboys again, but more so helping Detroit secure a victory over Dallas for the first time since 2013. In my opinion, Jared Goff kind of blew his opportunity to have a perfect game against Dallas. Could he do it again? Could he throw for another perfect game? I mean, that would just be absolutely epic if he went back-to-back weeks with perfect games. It's tough to do. And I'm not so sure that we're going to have to throw the ball a ton tonight. But if we do, I do expect for Jared Goff to go up top a couple of times. Now, the Cowboys storyline to watch tonight would be the Cowboys had won 16 straight home games, which was the second longest home winning streak in franchise history. And then they lost their final two home games this season, or their first two home games this season. If they lose a third straight on Sunday to the Lions, it'll mark the first 3-game home losing streak. I love those odds. And I'm expecting it, for us to walk in and give them, some sort of a mark on their records, right? Some sort of a stat line that's going to stick around. The Cowboys have lost. Cowboys lost 3 straight at home in 2020. Now, these stats aren't making any sense. I'm going to skip that. A stat to know, after completing 19 consecutive passes against the Seahawks in week 4, actually it was 18 of 18, Goff could match the longest streak in NFL history with 6 straight against the Cowboys. So if he throws 6 or more passes tonight in a row without a drop, like 6 completions, he will break the record for the longest streak in NFL history. It's currently held by Phillip Rivers, who set the record with 25 in 2018. Bold prediction of the night, linebacker DeMarvion Overshown will lead all players in combined tackles in Week 6. He's the number 1 player in my sack projections for the week. Seth Walder, dude, what are you smoking? This is the number 1 offensive line in the league, and you're expecting him to have a bunch of sacks? Okay. He has the 26th highest tackle per snap rate of any player in the league. He played 100% of the snaps last week, and now he faces the run-heavy lines. Look, he might have a lot of tackles in this game because we're probably going to run the ball quite a bit, but he's not going to have a bunch of sacks. Fantasy X Factor tonight. Oh, guess who? David Montgomery. Through Week 4, the Lions led the league in running back touches. Montgomery has had a rushing touchdown and put up 15 or more fantasy points in every game. He should continue to thrive against the Cowboys defense that gives up the 7th most fantasy points per game against running backs. I'm not surprised by this. I mean, I think that David Montgomery is going to have another big game, and I do think that he's probably going to get at least 1 touchdown on the ground in tonight's game. Prescott, this is a betting nugget. Prescott has not closed as at least a 3-point home underdog since 2018. I'm not sure what that means. Here's where everyone's picking. The Lions. Collar picks the Lions, Moody picks the Lions, and Seth Walder even picks the Lions to win by more than a touchdown. Moody picks the Lions to win by 4. Collar picks the Lions to win by 6. Walder picks the Lions to win by 9. No. 11. 28-17. You guys know who I'm picking. The over-under on tonight's game currently is 52.5. So they're clearly expecting, a lot of scoring in this game. The question is it going to be on the ground, or is it going to be through the air? Or is it going to be a little bit of both? Is one team going to score a lot, or both teams going to score a lot? If you split the baby here, that's 26.25 points per team. I think the Lions are going to come in and make a statement. I think that they're going to score 4 touchdowns at least in this game. That would give them a minimum of 28 points. Jake Bates has not been leaned on at all this season. He might need a couple of field goals. I think that Dan Campbell is going to play smart football tonight. Sure, we might go for a couple of, 4th downs if we're on, in our side of the field, right? In our territory, plus 40-yard line, we're probably going to go for it. I don't think that we're going to rely on Jake Bates a whole lot, but I do believe if we go for it on a 4th down and we happen to make it, and for whatever reason, that next set of downs, we can't push the ball into the end zone, he's not going to push the envelope and he's going to kick the field goal. I think that Jake Bates is going to get at least 6 points tonight, which is going to give the Lions 34 points in this game. Now, Dallas, when I look at Dallas's record, let's take a look at Dallas's record here. So they put up 19 points in week 1 when they got their clocks cleaned by the Saints. Week 2. In week 1, they put up 33 against the Browns. In week 3, they put up 25 against the Ravens. In week 4, they barely beat the Giants, putting up 20. And in week 5, they barely beat the Steelers. We watched it last night. Again, only putting up 20. So when you average what the Cowboys have been able to put up this season, you got 19, 20, 20, 25. And their best game against the Browns, 33. They're averaging 23.4 points per game. Going up against one of the better defenses in the league. Yeah, our passing defense has been a little bit suspect, but I think that's attributed to the fact that nobody can run against us. And we're not giving up more than 90 yards per game, and that's not going to change tonight. Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott, they're not going to be able to do anything against us in the run game. I think the Lions are going to come in and completely shut down Dallas. I think the Lions win this game 34-17. We're going to double them up, and that does put me on the under. I mean, it's possible the Lions could put a 40-burger up. It is possible. We've seen it done this year. I would not doubt it, but at the same time, it's not going to be needed. I think the Lions are going to run the ball once they get a lead, and they're going to try to kill clock as much as they can. What are your score predictions for the Lions tonight? Bash and dash. John Doe says Demo, 100 yards and a TD. I love it. Bo Musa, 7 straight completions to further the glory and the NFL record for consecutive passes. Love it. Love the call. David Kadlik said, I probably butchered your name, buddy. Apologize. Lions win by 3 scores. Secondary is going to snag a couple of INTs. Love it. All right. I want to know what your score predictions are for the Lions tonight. New York Giants and Cincinnati. So it is hard to figure out who the Giants are. The Bengals have not been good. But when you look at the Bengals and what they've been able to put up in points this season, just trying to figure out who they are. Like, nobody knows who they are right now. They put up 10 against the Patriots and lost. They put up 25 against the Chiefs and lost. They put up 33 against the Commanders and lost. They put up 24 against they put up 34 against the Panthers and won. And they put up 38 against the Ravens and lost. Who are they? What kind of team is this? Is the question. I just don't know if they can beat the Giants, which the Giants have been playing pretty well. No one's picking the Giants to win this game at all. The fantasy X factor tonight is the Giants wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson. With Malik Neighbors still in concussion protocol, it's uncertain of whether or not he'll be able to be cleared before the Bengals game. Let's take a look at their injury report. Let's see if anything's changed. Which the 1 o'clock injury report should be coming out here shortly. They play at 8:20 tonight, so that's not going to come out till at least 6:30 tonight. Let's see here. Malik Neighbors has already been ruled out. So that's going to lean towards the Bengals for me. I don't see where they're going to have enough to beat Cincy here. Let's talk about it though. The Bengals storyline to watch, the matchup between Cincinnati's offense and the Giants defense will dictate the outcome. Cincinnati is second in the league in points per drive, and quarterback Joe Burrow is second in total QBR. But in the past 3 weeks, the Giants have had a very disruptive pass rush. Pass rush win rate of 50%. That's incredible. First in sacks per dropback at 11.6%, and only 3 of their opponents past 34 drives have had snaps in the red zone. Wow. That's a pretty powerful defense. Giants are very surprising right now. The Giants storyline is the Giants have won just one of their past 14 primetime games with Danny Dimes Jones at quarterback, giving him the worst record of any quarterback in primetime since the 1970 merger. Jones didn't seem at all happy hearing about that streak entering the Sunday night matchup with the Bengals, where he said, I think we've got to win more games. You look at the past over the years, we haven't won enough, period. This will be yet another chance to shift the narrative in a game where they are the underdogs. I hate to bet against the Bengals in this one, but I've got to differentiate. I'm calling another wild upset for tonight. The over-under on this is 47 points. Nobody is taking the Giants. And I've got to make up some ground here. I think it will be a tight game. If it is too tight in the end, I think Cincinnati pulls it out, especially if they have the ball last. But if the Giants have the ball last, I don't trust Cincinnati's defense right now. Their defense has been pathetic. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the Giants' favor. The over-under, like I said, is 47. We're going to go ahead and go 25 for the Giants and 21 for Cincinnati. Well, no, we'll go 22 for Cincinnati. And we're going to put them even with the over-under, so I'm going to go with the under. Actually, I got to go with the over if I put them even. The Jets and Buffalo. Look, the Jets are a mess. They're a hot mess. I don't see where they're going to be able to pull this game out at all. Now, they are at home, so that does help. The over-under right now is 41, and Buffalo is a 2.5 point favorite in this game. The previous game, Cincinnati being the away team, is a 3.5 point favorite. Buffalo's going to get it done. I can't see where Karen is gonna have any success in this game. He just got his coach fired, and I'm sure there's a lot of things going on in that locker room right now that are not good. The Bills are fairly healthy. The Jets, I mean, they're fairly healthy. They're not missing a bunch of players right now. Yeah, I can't do it. Everyone is picking the Bills. I don't see anyone picking the Jets in this game. Over-under is 41. I'm going to go ahead and take Buffalo. Low-scoring affair, though. 17 to 14. We're going to take Buffalo. And that's it. Definitely taking the under on that one. So we'll see what happens. I need a big bounce back week. I am way down right now. So my record for the season, 41-37, not looking good. When I compare where I was against everybody, I was in the top 5 nationally. I've now dropped all the way down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I am in the top 9 for records in the nation. So I've got to have a bounce back week. I'm out of first place now by 10 picks. That is going to be a tough climb for me to get back to the top. But anyway, appreciate you all joining me. We'll be back this afternoon for the live play-by-play. Make sure you guys are in there. Tell a friend, because we're going to be giving away a signed Penei Sewell mini helmet with certificate of authenticity from Pro Sports Zone. Let's get it tonight. Let's go Lions. We'll see you guys later on tonight. Have a good day. And as soon as I can find where my screen is, we'll push you guys off into tonight. Take care.